J.W. Williams Funeral Directors have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. Of Deacon Oscar Smith of Doraville, Georgia, and Vienna, Georgia. The family of Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton of DeSoto, Georgia. The family of Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis of Americus, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Ella May Munford Cuffey of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mother Catherine Henderson White of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant of Cordele, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Deacon Oscar Smith, age 81, of 716 Winters Creek Drive, Doraville, Georgia, formerly of Vienna, Georgia, died Monday, December 20th, at his residence in Doraville, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Oscar Smith, age 81, was held Monday, December 27th, graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Dr. Bobby G. West, pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving, devoted sister, Miss Ferris Lakeler, and her husband, Dr. Johnny Lakeler of Vienna, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Bobby Smith and his wife, Mrs. Natalie Smith of Decatur, Georgia, and Mr. Willie Joe Smith of Memphis, Tennessee. His beloved sisters-in-law, Mrs. Emma B. Smith of Fitzgerald, Georgia, and Mrs. Carol A. Smith of Vienna, Georgia. A host of loving nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survived. To include Miss Cynthia Calhoun survived Deacon Oscar Smith, age 81, of 716 Winters Creek Drive, Doraville, Georgia, formerly of Diana, Georgia. Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton, age 63, of 641 Blacksmith Road, DeSoto, Georgia, died Tuesday, December 21st, at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton, age 63, was held Tuesday, December 28th, graveside at the St. John Church Cemetery in Leslie, Georgia. His pastor, the Reverend Calvin James, pastor of the St. John Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife of 37 years, Miss Audria Berryhill Hamilton of DeSoto, Georgia. His loving and devoted children, Miss Jaleisha Hamilton of Americus, Georgia, Mrs. Denidra Roberts and her husband, Mr. Gamel Roberts of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mr. Dennis Denzel Hamilton of DeSoto, Georgia. His beloved and devoted sisters, Mrs. Ozzie Lundy and her husband, Bishop James Lundy of Leslie, Georgia, Mrs. Mary Jackson and her husband, Mr. Henry Jackson of Detroit, Michigan, Mrs. Betty Darrisaw and her husband, Deacon Arthur Darrisaw of DeSoto, Georgia, Mrs. Jacqueline Halton and her husband, Mr. Henry Halton of Hawkers Heights, Texas, Mrs. Regina Watts and her husband, Mr. Ricardo Watts of Albany, Georgia, Mrs. Charlotte Wilson and her husband, Mr. Kirby Wilson of Fort Washington, Maryland, and Mrs. Lois Walker of Snickerville, New Jersey. His beloved aunts and uncles, Mr. Gentle Lee Hamilton of Miami, Florida, Mrs. Minnie Jewel King and her husband, Mr. James King of Orlando, Florida, Mrs. Emma Jean Wright of Jersey City, New Jersey, Mr. Charles Berryhill and his wife, Mrs. Martha Berryhill of Coconut Grove, Florida, Mr. John Berryhill and his wife, Mrs. Nancy Berryhill of DeSoto, Georgia, and Mr. James Berryhill of St. Mary's, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton, age 63, of 641 Blacksmith Road, DeSoto, Georgia. Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis, age 94, 109 Arcadia Street, Americus, Georgia, died Thursday, December 23rd, at the Lillian Carter Health and Rehabilitation Center in Plains, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis, age 94, was held Wednesday, December 29th, on the grounds of Restoration Church of Americas. The Reverend Caleb Edge, pastor, Bishop-elect George Edge, officiated. The burial followed at the Eastview Cemetery in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mrs. Dorothy Patterson and Mr. Eddie Davis and his wife, Mrs. Cynthia B. Davis, all of Americus, Georgia. 9 loving and devoted grandchildren, Mrs. LaQuasia Davis, Mrs. Chevy Davis, Mr. Flinza Davis, Mr. Eric Patterson, Mr. Christopher Wilkerson, Mr. Obin Wilkerson III, Mr. Kenan Toots, and Mr. Trenton Toots, and Ms. Diane Dialfault. 7 beloved great-grandchildren, a beloved god sister, Mrs. Margaret Mathis, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis, age 94, of 109 Arcadia Street, Americus, Georgia. Mrs. Ella Marie Montfort Cuffey, age 71, of 204 West 25th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, December 22nd, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Ella Marie Montfort Cuffey, age 71, was held Friday, December 31st, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. Brother Eddie Lee Sutton of the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses officiated. The burial followed at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include 11 and devoted children, Mr. Lonnie Leonard Cuffey of Austin, Texas, Mr. Tracy Quinton Cuffey of Bonaire, Georgia, and Mrs. Cindy Marie Cuffey Tatum and her husband, Mr. Mike Tatum of Cordele, Georgia. 8 beloved grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, a beloved sister, Mrs. Lola Mikey, and her husband, Mr. Durrell Mikey of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Ella Marie Montfort Cuffey, age 71, of 204 West 25th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mother Catherine Henderson White, age 79, of 307 West 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Tuesday, December 21st, at the Miller County Hospital in Colquitt, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Catherine Henderson White, age 79, was held Friday, December 31st, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Joseph Atkins, pastor of the Friendship Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include 11 and devoted daughters, Miss Nashay White of Warner Robins, Georgia, Miss Ruth West, and Miss Gwendolyn Henderson, both of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved son, Mr. Courtney White of Cordele, Georgia. 8 loving and devoted grandchildren, a host of great-grandchildren, a beloved sister, Miss Essie Gay of Cordele, Georgia, a host of nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mother Catherine Henderson White, age 79, of 307 West 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant, age 32, of 508 West 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, December 25th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant, age 32, was held Saturday, January 1st at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. Elder Fletcher Williams, pastor of the Americas Pentecostal Church of Americas, Georgia, officiated. The burial followed at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved wife, Miss Vicki Grant of Cordele, Georgia, his loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Cassandra Grant Harris of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved father, Mr. Rodney Davis of Cordele, Georgia, his loving sisters, Miss Crystal L. Grant and Miss Sonia Tarver, both of Cordele, Georgia, a beloved brother, Mr. Jonathan Grant of Albany, Georgia, his caring and devoted grandparents, Mrs. Janet Mae Smith and her husband, Elder William Smith of Cordele, Georgia, a host of devoted aunts and uncles, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant, age 32, of 508 West 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Again, the family of Deacon Oscar Smith of Doraville, Georgia, formerly of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton of DeSoto, Georgia. The family of Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis of Americas, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Ella Marie Montford Cuffey of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mother Catherine Henderson White of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant of Cordele, Georgia would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you, is their prayer. The J.W. Williams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. Mr. Eddie Louis Gaines, age 57, of 1649 Welch Worley Road, Cordele, Georgia, died Sunday, December 26, at the Tift Regional Hospital in Tifton, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved son, Mr. Rictavius Dion Gaines of Sandy Springs, Georgia, His beloved grandchildren, Master Rick Tavius Dion Gaines Jr. and Master Kingston Dion Gaines. His loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Cynthia Ann Jones, and her husband, the Reverend Dion Jones of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Daphne Teresa Mailer, and her husband, Mr. Abner Mailer of Byron, Georgia. His beloved aunts and uncles, Mr. Benny Butts, Mrs. Ernestine Butts, Mr. Rufus Butts and his wife, Mrs. Janet Butts, Mrs. Willeen Covington and her husband, Mr. Elmo Covington, all of Chicago, Illinois, and Mrs. Bernice Williams and her husband, Mr. Patrick Williams of Carrington, Georgia. His beloved and devoted great aunt, Mother Martha Ruth Westbrook of Araby, Georgia. His beloved nieces, Mrs. Raven Curry, Miss Santoria Curry, Mr. Cameron Curry, and Shakiria Royal, a host of devoted cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends, to include a special friend, Miss Maddie Sanchez, survived Mr. Eddie Louis Gaines, age 57, of 1649 Welch Worthy Road, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Eddie Louis Gaines, age 57, will be held today, Sunday, January 2nd, at 1 p.m. graveside at the Pleasant Hill Church Cemetery, Hatley Community, Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon, age 60, of 1512 South Pecan Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, December 30th, 2021, at his residence in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and beloved daughter, Miss Varkisha Harmon of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved father, Mr. Silas Harmon Sr. of Cleveland, Ohio, his devoted sisters, Mrs. Dorothy Harmon and Miss Cassandra Harmon, both of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Erica Hardiman and her husband, Mr. Richard Hardiman of Ellenwood, Georgia, Mr. Silas Harmon and his wife, Mrs. Denise Harmon, Mr. Jeffrey Harmon and Mr. Tony Harmon, and Mrs. Shanteria Harmon, all of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved aunts and uncles, Mrs. Yvette Adams and her husband, Mr. Alvin Adams, Mr. Willie Coleman and his wife, Mrs. Ruby Coleman, Mr. Walter Frank Coleman, Mrs. Catherine Taylor, Mrs. Clara Pearl Putman, and Mother Jessie Kate Harmon, a host of devoted nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon, age 60, of 1512 South Pecan Street, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon, age 60, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick, age 70, of 1550 Borum Street, Unadilla, Georgia, died Saturday, January 1st, 2022, at his residence in Unadilla, Georgia. Survivors include his devoted children, Miss Tamika Kendall, Mr. Richard Ross of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Tawilla Brown of Somerville, South Carolina, Mr. Mallow Kendall of Newark, New Jersey, Miss Tierra Bowens of Albany, Georgia, Miss Takesha Taylor, Miss Kimberly Kendall, Miss Christina Gary, all of Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Yolanda Griffin of Perry, Georgia, Mr. Maurice Gary of Reading, Pennsylvania, 25 beloved grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick, age 70, of 1550 Borum Street, Unadilla, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick, age 70, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors, serving Cordele and Vienna, are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your funeral arrangements needs available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. And now for announcements. The New Poplar Springs Baptist Church of Byronville, Georgia, invites everyone to join them Sunday at 9:45 a.m. via conference call. The call-in number is 253-993-3761. Again, the call-in number for the New Poplar Springs Baptist Church of Byronville, Georgia, 9:45 a.m., 253-993-3761. Everyone is invited. The Reverend Johnny Dean, pastor, teacher, New Poplar Springs Baptist Church of Byronville, Georgia. The Spring Hill Baptist Church of Tippettville, Georgia, invites everyone to drive up and worship today at 11 a.m. Sister Mary Ann Lewis, Secretary, Deacon Edmund Lewis, Chairman of Deacons, the Reverend Charles Cobb, Sr., Pastor. Christ Chapel Unadilla weekly food pantry is open every Saturday from 9 a.m. until 12 noon. Everyone is invited. The Ebenezer Baptist Church of Vienna, Georgia, Service will be held via conference call. The dial-in number is 346-248-7799. Again, the call-in number is 346-248-7799. The passcode is 228-890-9553. The passcode 228-890-9553 at 11 a.m. today. Deacon Morris McClendon, Chairman of Deacons, the Reverend Samuel Stokes is the pastor. The Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church conference call schedule: Sunday morning worship at 9 a.m. Tuesday midday prayer conference at 12 noon. Thursday prayer meeting and Bible study at 6 p.m. The call-in number for the conference call is 229-329-7611. Call in for the conference call is 229-329-7611, or you may visit Facebook Live, Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church. Everyone is invited. Mother Lucille Shazer, Church Mother, Deacon Tommy Ford, Vice Chairman of Deacons, Dr. K.M. Williams, Pastor. The Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church invites everyone to pull up and praise each Sunday at 10 a.m., located at 1818 U.S. Highway 41 North, Cordele, Georgia. 1818 U.S. Highway 41 North, Cordele, Georgia, across from the farmers market here in Cordele. The Reverend Gregory Williams, pastor, Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church. The St. King Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them today, Sunday at 8 a.m. for hour of prayer worship, service at 9 a.m., Sunday school at 10:15 a.m. Everyone is invited. The Reverend Woody Burnham, pastor, St. King Baptist Church, 108 East 17th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church conference call schedule today, Sunday at 10 a.m., prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 noon. Bible study each Wednesday at 5 p.m. The conference call number is 339-209-6419. The conference call number is 339-209-6419. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church call-in number 339-209-6419. Everyone is invited. Deacon Joe Wedges, Chairman of Deacons, Dr. Dan James III, Pastor. The Gethsemane Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them via Zoom call Sunday at 10:30 a.m. The call-in number is 312-626-6799. The call-in number for the Gethsemane Baptist Church is 312-626-6799. The meeting ID is 856033646163. The meeting ID 856033646163. The passcode is 07 3213. The passcode is 073213. Bible study each Wednesday at 7 p.m. And you may call any members of the Gethsemane Baptist Church, I'm satisfied, and receive those numbers. Deacon Johnny Wilson, Chairman of Deacons, the Reverend Cecil Strawder, Pastor, Mother Mary Butler, Church Mother of the Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church. Please call one of those members to receive those numbers. The Shady Grove Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them on the second and fourth Sunday. Sister Lovey Wheeler, Church Mother, Deacon Bobby Barner, Chairman of Deacons, and the Reverend Kelvin Drake, Senior Pastor. The New Oak Grove Baptist Church will have in-house worship today at 10 a.m. Everyone is invited to attend. Sister Letha Askew, Church Clerk and Trustee, Deacon Alonzo Jones, Chairman of Deacons, and the Reverend W. Wilson is the pastor. The Davis Chapel CME Church of Arabi, Georgia, will have worship service each second and fourth Sundays at 10 a.m. Face mask required. Brother Ruby Barrett, Chairman of Stewards, and the Reverend Welburn, pastor. The M.D. White's Medical Institute, 401 North 15th Street, Cordele, Georgia, the former A.S. Clark School, will be conducting both Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine on Wednesday and Fridays from 10 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Vaccination shots for children for age 5 to 12 are now being offered, as well as the booster. Walk-in visits are acceptable, appointments not required. Dr. Matthew W. White, M.D. Friends, that conclude our announcements for this morning. I do pray that you would govern yourselves accordingly. And again, for those call-in numbers and pass codes and IDs, please contact members of the various churches to receive that. I know that can be quite confusing. Now for dedication. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: in loving memory of Mrs. Annie B. Carter Wedges, who departed this life December 31st, 1997. Dedication requested by the Carter and Wedges family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of United States veteran Liza Barrett, who would have celebrated her birthday January 2nd. Dedication requested by her beloved husband, the children, grandchildren, and the entire Barrett and Crawford family, gone but not forgotten. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: happy anniversary to Mr. Keith and Miss Teresa Wright, who will celebrate their anniversary Tuesday, January 4th. And also happy birthday to Mrs. Teresa Wright, better known as Fig, my niece, who will celebrate her birthday on Tuesday, January the 4th. Dedication requested by the entire Wright and Johnson family and the management and staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. I just say God bless your union and keep it strong. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: happy birthday to Mr. Spencer Gardner McDowell of Plains, Georgia, who celebrated his birthday on December 25th. Dedication requested by his beloved family. Happy birthday to Miss Erica Gardner of Americus, Georgia, who celebrated her birthday Tuesday, December 28th. Dedication requested by the Gardner family. Happy birthday to Kia Laitler, who celebrated her birthday Friday, December 31st. Dedication requested by the Laitler family. And happy birthday to my niece, Miss Shonda Harris Jackson, who celebrated her birthday on Saturday, January 1st. Dedication requested by her mother, Miss Maddie Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, her sons, and the entire family, and the management and staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. All say happy birthday to Shonda and many, many more. Happy birthday to Mrs. Phyllis Collier Green, who celebrated her birthday Saturday, January 1st. Dedication requested by the Collier and Green family. Happy birthday to Mr. Zacchaeus West, who is celebrating his birthday today, January 2nd. Dedication requested by the West family. And happy birthday to Deacon Eric Quinn, who will celebrate his birthday Monday, January 3rd. Dedication requested by his beloved family. Happy birthday to Mr. Sammy Collier, better known as Smokey, who will celebrate his birthday Tuesday, January 4th. Dedication requested by the Collier family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Ella Lester Welch of Jacksonville, Florida, who will celebrate her birthday Thursday, January 6th. Dedication requested by the Lester and Welch family. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: Deacon James Smith and family, Mr. Earl Passmore and family, Mr. Larry Passmore and family, Mr. Lewis Harriel Sr. and family, Mrs. Yvette Zanders and family, Mrs. Willie Mae Leary and family, Hatley, Georgia, and the entire Leary and Carter family, Ms. Rosa Rice and family, Mr. Alvin Jones and family, Deacon and Mrs. Grandy Ridley and family, Mr. Henry Wheeler and family, Deacon and Mrs. Henry Peacock and family, Mr. Ricky Detrace Smith and family, Mrs. Daphne Askew and family, Mrs. Minnie L. Passmore and family, Mrs. J.W. Billingsley and family of Unadilla, Georgia, Miss Stephanie Westbrook and family, Miss Cheryl Royal and family, Mr. Willie James Young and family, Miss Shirley Washington and family, Mr. and Mrs. Michael DeBruce and family, Mrs. Mary Jo Osley and family, Mr. and Mrs. Carl Westbury and family, Mrs. Charlotte Leonard and family, Mr. and Mrs. Franklin Jordan and family, the Reverend and Mrs. Arthur Jordan and family, Mrs. Dorothy Nadine Young and family, Miss Deacon and Mrs. Carl Reuben Smith and family, Mrs. Rosella Leggett and family, Mrs. Dana Lester and family, Mr. Jackie Wheeler and family, Mr. Kelvin Whitfield and family, Mr. Alton K. Brown and family, Miss Rhonda Lester and family, Mr. Calvin Ford and family, Miss Christine Kinchin and family, Miss Anita Leary and family, Mr. Ira Robinson and family, Mr. Steve Jackson III and family, Mr. and Mrs. Olin Askew and family, Miss Cynthia Rush and family, Mrs. Dorothy West and family, Mr. Reginald Billingsley and family, Miss Cynthia Webb and family, Mrs. Nettie Barnum and family, Miss Luane Harriel and family, Mr. Bert Kinchin and family, Mr. and Mrs. Alvin Lester and family, Mr. Robert Ford and family, Deacon and Mrs. James Askew and family, Mrs. Alice Henry and family, Mr. and Mrs. Donnie Brown and family, Mrs. Mother Willeen McGill and family, Mr. Tony Stubbs and family, Mrs. Anita Whitfield and family, Mrs. Freddie Perry and family, Mrs. Cornelia Brown and family, Mr. Harold Bryant and family, Mrs. Darcy Owens and family, Mr. Arnett Holmes and family, Mr. and Mrs. Harry Henderson and family, Miss Gloria Lester and family, Mr. Willie James Perry and family, Mr. Willie B. Brown and family, Mrs. Beatrice Walker and family, Miss Gracie Walker and family, Mrs. Shelley Pearl Walker and family, the Reverend Revis McLaren and family, Deacon and Mrs. Oscar James and family, Mr. and Mrs. Wilbert Whitehead and family of Unadilla, Georgia, and the entire Times Whitehead family, Mr. Larry Collier and family, Mr. Charles Collier and family, Mr. and Mrs. Carl Henry and family, Mrs. George Marchman and family, the Fred Hancock family, Mrs. Dobie Peacock and family, Mrs. Charlie Mae Peacock and family, Mrs. Annie Lewis and family, the family of Mother Pearlie Mae Perry of Vienna, Georgia, the Harriel family, the J.B. Kendrick family of Unadilla, Georgia, Mrs. Corrine Bell Smith and family, Deacon and Mrs. Dave Leary and family, Deacon and Mrs. Walter Leary and family, Mr. and Mrs. Robbie Brown and family, Miss Pauline Brown and family, Miss Carrie McGee and family, the family of the late Reverend Walter Carter, Mrs. Evelyn Green and family, Mrs. Shirley Killings and family, Dr. George Cleveland and family, Mr. Willie Cooper and family, Deacon and Mrs. Vet T. Crane and family, Pinehurst, Georgia, Mr. and Mrs. Tony Brown, Tony Thomas and family, Mrs. Albie Bevis and family, the Martin family, Mr. and Mrs. Willie Jordan and family, Miss Mary Nell Lundy and family, Mrs. Virginia Hill Mumphrey and family, the family of the late Pastor Kathy Griffin, Mrs. Georgia Bryant and family, Miss Bessie Byram and family, Miss Paula Hayes and family, Mrs. Anna Armstrong and family, Mrs. Pearlie Wallace and family, Mr. and Mrs. Willie Green and family, Ms. Rosa Crane and family, Mr. William Green and family, Mr. James Lester and family, the Emerson family, Mrs. Essie Gay and family. Our first selection for this morning.
Any good. I already know he's been good to me. And you know, I was just watching one of those programs on TV today when it says adopt a little child overseas, and then they show the little children up on the screen, and some is too big in one place and too little in another. Some dehydrated, can't even make tears to cry. Some malnutrition done sit in and they can't even stand up on their own little legs. And then when I think about how my children get up, go down in the kitchen and pick it and choosing what they want to eat, I said, thank you!
It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Mr. Eddie Lewis Gaines, age 57, of 1649 Welch Worley Road, Cordele, Georgia, died Sunday, December 26, at the 10th Regional Hospital in Tifton, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Eddie Lewis Gaines, age 57, will be held today, Sunday, January 2nd, 2022, at 1 p.m., graveside at the Pleasant Hill Church Cemetery, Hatley Community, Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon, age 60, of 1512 South Pecan Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, December 30th, 2021, at his residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon, age 60, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick, age 70, of 1550 Borum Street, Unadilla, Georgia, died Saturday, January 1st, 2022, at his residence in Unadilla, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick, age 70, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our next and final selection for this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Deacon Oscar Smith of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Deacon Dennis Baxter Hamilton of DeSoto, Georgia. The family of Mother Annie Ruth Smith Davis of Americus, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Ella Marie Montfort Cuffey of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mother Catherine Henderson White of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Nicholas Gerard Grant of Cordele, Georgia. This selection is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of Mr. Eddie Lewis Gaines of Cordele, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie Edward Harmon of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Tommy Kendall, better known as Tom Slick of Unadilla, Georgia. This selection is dedicated to all of the sick and shut in, to all patients in the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and their devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in our armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This selection goes out to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Billy Ann Hall, and family. To my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, to his wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and their grandson, Noble. This selection goes out to my sister, Miss Maddie Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, and Mrs. Patsy Jackson and her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. This selection goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, Program Chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, dedicated to our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, to his wife, Sister Kathy Williams, and their family. And again, invite you to worship via conference call or Facebook Live today at 9 a.m. This selection this morning goes out to Mr. Cleveland R. Lemon, the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, the oldest staff member and steward of the Bethel CME Church. This selection goes out to Miss Easter May Byram and family, the entire Byram family, Miss Willie Mae Crapp and family, to my neighbor, Mrs. Theron Jones and family, the entire Jones and Talbert family, Mr. Johnny and Mrs. Juanita Talbert and family, Ms. Mother Dorothy Talbert and family. Goes out to Deacon Mrs. Martha Clay and family, Deacon and Mrs. John Eddie Wiggins and family, Mrs. Geraldine Johnson and family, Deacon William and Sister Robin Durham and family have all been in Cordele, Georgia. Mr. and Mrs. Sammy Hill and family, Mr. and Mrs. Paul Johnson and family, Mr. and Mrs. Ernest Reese and family, Deacon Eddie Porter and family, Miss Denise Denard and family, Mr. and Mrs. Melvin Jones and family, Mr. Lonnie Walker and family, my friend and brother, Deacon and Mrs. Jimmy Charles Montford and family, Mrs. Carol Jackson and family, Pastor and Elder Billy Sanford and family, Deacon and Mrs. Alfred Hoggerbrook and the entire Hoggerbrook family, Mrs. Sylvia Blackshear and family, Miss Gladys Foster and family, the Gamble family, Mr. and Mrs. Bruford Royal Jr. and family, Mr. and Mrs. Alvin Shorter and family, Miss Tawana Leonard and family, Mrs. Jacqueline Leonard and family, Mrs. Dorothy Lucas and family, Mr. Robert Lee McLeod and family, Mr. Charles McLeod and family, Mrs. Nettie Bush and family, Mr. and Mrs. Alvin Beal and family, Miss Connie James and family, Mother Minnie Fletcher and family, Mother Nell Ford and family, Miss Ruby Felton and family, Brother and Mrs. James Leon Hughes, and the members of the Hilltop Church of Christ, Mrs. Charlie Butts and family, Miss Linda Askew and family, Miss Janice Mumford and family, Mrs. Dorothy King, mother and daughter, Mrs. Fanny Royal and family, Mr. and Mrs. Eugene Ford and family, Mrs. Johnny Campbell and family, the Spear family, Mrs. Aletha Askew, church clerk and trustee of the Newark Grove Baptist Church, the Reverend and Mrs. Charles Perry Jr. and family, Dr. and Mrs. Henry Young and family, Ms. Betty Roberson and family, beloved commissioner, past commissioner, Mr. and Mrs. A.J. Rivers and family, Mrs. Ida Ruth Bryan and family, Mr. and Mrs. Jerome Outlaw and family, and to our church mother, Mother Lucille Shazer, age 108, yes, age 108, and to our dear friend, Mrs. Cheryl Cobb Henry and family of Americus, Georgia, and goes out to each and everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Goes out to our beloved Miss Easter May Sanders and family, and again to each and everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. God bless you in this 2022 year.
Yes, I'm going to walk. Oh, that will keep my way. Oh, child.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. Remember, in your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.